Hello and welcome to the second episode of this interview with Bloom Consulting CEO Jose Filipe Torres on his book Nation Brand Builders. This part sees Jose cover the important question of how to prove that nation branding works, as well as talk about the successful examples of nation brands that he covers throughout his book. Enjoy.
Perfect. So it's a great concept, but one would imagine that all of the regions, cities or countries would look for concrete results after the process. So how can you prove that nation branding or region branding or city branding works?
The book, I cover those 44 examples, and I enumerate a few that have successfully achieved a positive or that purposely try to achieve a specific perception, right? Now, the way to measure is, and I know, policymakers and so on, and our clients normally try to get the exact result, the measurement result. The first part I think is really important to outline is that the impact of a nation branding project, a city branding project, is about perceptions, is about emotions. How is that evolving over time? So it's really the KPI is like, is my favorability evolving over time or not? And that's not done through or thanks to marketing. Marketing alone will not do that. If you don't have a positive perception about the country, region, or city, it doesn't matter how much you advertise that country, region, or city, that perception won't change, right? So it's an important component. Marketing should come into the conversation. I don't say, but it's not branding. Marketing is what we say is the last thing you should do, but not least, right? So a way to measure is really how your perception is evolving. And in the end, if you have a positive perception or a specific perception, it does not have to be just positive or negative. It has to do with a specific type of perception that makes you tick, that creates kind of a willingness to either invest, study, live, work, and so on and so forth. So in the end, the KPI is tangible, or let's just say that the result of that perception is tangible, and you measure first the intangible side, so the part about the perception and the emotion, and last but not least, you measure, okay, what is the impact of that perception, that emotion on a transactional level? And by transactional, you also see this in our country brand wheel, in the Nation Brand Builders book, which is exports, FDI, foreign direct investment, tourism, talent, so study, live, and work, and prominence, which is the general reputation. So these 5 dimensions are in the end what the perception affects, or this perception and the favorability affects all these 5 dimensions. So that's what cities and countries, some cities also have exports, like Milan, Paris, etc., but that countries, regions, city need to look into.
Perfect. And you mentioned that there's plenty of examples of this in the book. So countries that have improved their nation brand or changed perceptions through these 5 different dimensions of the Bloom Consulting wheel. And can you draw on some of the examples that you mentioned in the book?
Yes, I think it's important to outline that the first part of the book talks about the trials and the failures. So what was thought to be nation branding, country branding, and what normally countries, regions, and cities, unfortunately we still see this, that they think they can have a huge sports event, or that they can have a fantastic advertising campaign, or and so on and so forth, or a social media, and they think they're building a brand. And the book shows that it doesn't, or something, a crisis or an amazing thing that happened, one hit wonder, and it shows that it didn't know. And the beauty about that first chapter of the book is to go over those. And since it's a recent history analysis, it's not like, since the medieval times and so on. No, it's like over the last 15 years, almost everyone that is a professional, has been working in the industry, relates to those. You will see, oh, I remember that. Why did not stick? Oh, that. So it's very empirical, and you look into those examples. And in the end, we cover a few which are in New Zealand, Costa Rica, Estonia. Estonia is one of my favorite examples, and it's not my client, so it's really important to say that they did not have a specific perception. They were able to establish a perception, and the perception means you say the name of that country, or that's in Barcelona as well, is there, so that you say these names, and immediately overall the world has an opinion, has a feeling towards these places, right? And they most of the times did not invest in marketing, or they did not start to invest in marketing, and they were successfully able to establish a perception, right? So that's really what we consider. Costa Rica is there as well, so it's really what we consider as examples. the beauty about this is that there is no formula. There's not one way that this works or does not work. It's very different. Countries are very different where they are geographically located, what's in there, how credible it is, what they're saying and doing, because, you know, nation branding and the successful cases of nation branding and city branding are the ones that do what they say, or that they walk the talk, right? So they are consistent in their behavior, right? So those are the ones in the end that succeed, right? And those are the examples that you see, and that's what's easy to read in this book.